Hello everyone, so as promised, this is the part 2 to the Spanish preterite video. And in this video, we're going to go over some of the verbs in the preterite that receive stem changers. And the accents are also dropped as well. So pretty much there's just so many patterns in these situations. So once you look at the patterns and you understand them and you commit them to memory, the preterite is a piece of cake. So the first two verbs that we're going to examine, because they behave so similarly, I put them on the same sheet here, is tener and estar. So tener is going to go to tuve and estar is going to go to estuve. So they both have these oovs at the end. And the endings are in red, and these are going to be the same endings throughout for all the stem changers in the preterite. So I'm going to leave them in that little space over there, because those are the endings you add to any of the stem changing verbs in the preterite. So it's, again, just really important to know what your stems are, and that's what we're going to be exploring in this video. So we have the first two verbs down, tener and estar, tuve, estuve. I didn't add andar here, which means to ride, but andar is also another one that behaves the same way. It goes to anduve. So the next two verbs that we're going to examine are poner and venir. So poner means to put, and its stem changes to pus, and venir means to come, and its stem changes to vin. So for example, if I wanted to say, I put my clothes on yesterday, me puse mi ropa ayer. And if I wanted to say, he came to the beach yesterday, Roberto vino a la playa ayer. So those are the stems. Next up is the verbs querer and saber. So it's important to understand that in the preterite, querer and saber mean different things. So in the present, when you say yo quiero, that's I want, or when you say yo sé, that's I know. However, when you're using these verbs in the preterite, for example, well, let's first look at the stem changers. Querer goes to quis and saber goes to sup. And then you add the red endings depending on what the subject is. So if I wanted to say yo quise, that would actually mean I tried to do something, but it didn't happen. I failed at it, something like that. Like you tried to do it, but things didn't end up working out. So that's the meaning changer there. Same with sup. If I wanted to say yo supe, that would mean I found out something. All right, so the verb poder, which is to be able to, goes to pud. And you just add any of these red endings. And then I have the verb hacer, which is kind of a special case. So hacer stem change goes to is or hic. However, in the ao or l form of the verb, something a little different happens, because rather than having this C, the C changes to a Z when you're using it in the third person singular form. So if, for example, I wanted to say he made a cake, it would be él hizo with a Z, el pastel. So that's the little quirk with hacer. Next up are my ch verbs. I like to call them my ch verbs because of that J. And those are decir, traer, and producir, pretty much anything that ends with a cir, like conducir as well. But their stem changes, the ending starts with a ch, so dich, trach, produch, and then you add the red endings. However, pay attention to the third person versions of the verb, because rather than just an O, it goes to jo, so dijo. And rather than just an hieron, it goes to heron. And the reason for these h sounds is to make everything sound smoother, because rather than saying they said, if we didn't have this rule, it would sound like dicieron, which is kind of just a weird, choppy pronunciation. So dijeron makes it much smoother. That's why we add the J's. Okay, so now moving on to extremely special cases, and that would be the pair ser and ir. So ser means to be, ir means to go. These verbs in the preterite have the exact same construction. Yo fui, tú fuiste, él fue, nosotros fuimos, vosotros fuisteis, ellos fueron. They're the exact same. So this looks pretty normal to regular IR, ER endings in the preterite. However, pay attention to the third person constructions. Notice there isn't an I. It's just fue and fueron. And again, that's really to preserve pronunciation. So, yeah. And my last case of weird verbs are dar and ver. Ver isn't really all that weird at all. It's pretty much the exact same as it's just a very short verb, but it's the exact same endings as the regular I or ER preterite. However, notice that there are no accents. And dar, same with dar, except dar is kind of weird because it's an AR verb. However, it follows the rules for a regular ER IR verb in the preterite, except with no accents. So, all right, so those are all your stem changers in the preterite. I hope you learned something new in this video. Just make sure that you can see the patterns. And the preterite is actually just very easy to be able to use and to be able to pick up on once you have recognized and committed to memory all the patterns that I've walked through in this video.